or the other. And
Right.
you just make a choice.
That's right.
And a relationship is so much more valuable. So I was glad for that presentation. But the fact that media is incentivized by polarization is just really toxic and negative.
Well, the thing is, when you tell someone that, or when everybody who feels like, oh, I'm leaning a little toward this side, when it's just the normal that when you start leaning, then you have to lean all the way. Then you get this weird situation where you don't have an even spectrum of people who have their own values and ideologies, but instead you have all the people in the middle just decide, okay, well, I have to be on one side or the other. And then that just makes it so that they feel like they are fully incentivized to just rip on every other person who doesn't believe fully what they believe, even when it's not necessarily something that they care about. It's just that it's kind of related to the other things that they do care about. And it's a weird situation this has happened, but I think that as much as these things are weird and we don't like it, there is still a future for this to change. And it really just depends on each individual person. But what are the ways that we can fix this?
I was just going to say that with the different opinions, you find that people are going to battle and they're scheming and just dreaming up things to belittle their opponents, and it just has gone way too far. Do you think?
I agree with you completely. Do you think it's any different today than it was 10 years ago? I think 10 years ago is any different than it was, let's say 150 years ago. Tony Robbins does these online training things. Due to the pandemic, he got pretty good at it. So he does these things for 2 hours, 8 hours. He does multi-day things. And one story he always brings up is old political elections from the early 19th century. So back 50 years after our country was formed. And these were violent advertisements against one another. Like this guy, both guys are like, this guy's a rapist, this guy's a thief, this guy is this thing, and he's that thing, and he's done this thing. And both of them are saying it. And it is hate speech, it is defamation, it is to the max. And what Tony's trying to say to people is you think it's bad today with glorification and demonization. You think it's polarizing today. It's nothing like it was during the Civil War. Brothers actually killed one another. It's nothing like it was when the country first started. We killed the people that we left in England. They killed us. That was polarization. When people ran for president, for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh president, and that kind of power over a brand new nation that was starting to thrive like this, they would say anything to win. Yet here we are in 2025, convinced that's the worst it's ever been. I hear this stuff about California. California's never been so bad. I got to go to Texas. I got to go to Florida. And I'm like, no, man, our families lived in California for 20 generations. We've lived in the Bay Area for 10 generations. I have 250 years of stories of what this place has been like. It has been way better than it has been today, and it has been way worse than it has been today. But people have a tendency to constantly think, woe is me. I'm a victim. I was born in the wrong house, with the wrong parents, at the wrong time, in the wrong place, with the wrong body and the wrong talents. We just have a tendency to want to be a victim. That our country is a victim to. I just think that we now have tools that have been rolled out over the last couple decades that is giving transparency to people. Whistleblowers can actually make a statement over the last decade or two and actually make an impact in exposing corruption across governments and institutions. That was not the case 100 years ago. Things are getting better, and technology has a place in playing into it. So I want to encourage everyone listening, whether you're listening live on the radio here at 1340 AM, KOMY, Home of Schoolhouse Radio, whether you're listening live, we're live across all the social media platforms, or you watch or listen to this another time. I want to encourage your heart. Do not become convinced that you have it bad and that others had it better. If you look back in history, every single human most likely had ancestors that were slaves and slave owners, that were victimizers and victims, that had been sexually abused and were sexual abusers. If you go back thousands of years and hundreds of generations of ancestors, Most likely, we got a little mixed bag of just about every sort of challenging human experience. We've had some broke people and we've had some wealthy people. We've had some powerless people and some powerful people. That's the rhythm of humanity. And so we want to try to make the best of our life today. And part of that is the ability to discern right and wrong, to discern good and evil, to discern truth and lies. And when you have the president stand up and just say fake news, that doesn't necessarily help because he's just trying to blanket something that he's trying to say, I don't like what you're saying. I disagree with you. So we have to not be so general, right? Let's not live in ones and twos. It's the worst ever. Let's not live in nines and tens. It's the best ever. Let's try to be more moderate in that 3 to 7 range where we try to say, okay, I see good in this. It can be better in this way. Okay, I'm really concerned with this, but here's something I can see good about it. So back to our topic of news and media. Nigel, I want to go to you. I did my little rant for a second. I wasn't expecting to do, but it felt pretty good. I felt pretty good. Nigel, what do you think, my friend?
I think the positive take is always helpful, that moderate that you've spoken about. But I want to speak more directly about two things that I heard from two different generations and to address Malachi's question directly. So both Malachi and your dad, said something. They said the same thing, that one side is talking about the other. And I find too many times when our opinion is not the only opinion in the room, humans
Nigel talks, I have to mute all.
find this need
Otherwise,
to demonize the other side. And I think what alternative can be actually helpful is to lean into what you see positive about what you're doing and what potentially can be something that would make the party that you're offended by less offensive, instead of just pointing out the bad. Because if you don't give someone an alternative and just say, oh, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, or I don't like it, I don't like it. Okay, so what to do instead? If someone's kicking you in the shin and you're just like, hey, you're kicking me in the shin versus, hey, I'd like you to not kick me in the shin. How about you give me a lollipop or something along those lines? That might be a helpful alternative. But I did hear the same thing. So to me, to Malachi, to answer your question, I think we just need to lean into the things we believe strongly about. Perhaps look at what the other person may find, that they don't agree with, to help us to cement our beliefs, not to be rigid and delusional, but to challenge our beliefs and see where we can find common ground and actually build something.
I dig it. Thank you, Nigel. Well, we got about a minute and a half. Anybody else have a burning thought on the past impact of all things technology across the news and media sector?
Well, I definitely agree with you. The fact that we have to have perspective right now. And yeah, there's, it's ups and downs, and maybe we're worse than we were 10 years ago, but we are way better than we were, at the founding of this country. And this country invented a way to transfer power without having to murder each other. And that's the bigger story that we miss, that over 200 plus years now, we've had a successful democracy. And the biggest opportunity is we can get involved and we can change things now more than ever. That's what we should be on.
I think the best call to action is something you were saying, Dad, about how we tend to care so much about the national things, the things that in a way we don't have much power over, but yet we have such a large amount of power in something like a local election. And you could maybe even say state elections, but especially local, or not even really elections, anything that's going on in your town. And so I think that for anyone who's listening on the radio, just let yourself care more about what's happening in your town than what's happening all the way on the East Coast. That doesn't matter as much for you. And just try to enjoy the amazingness that we get to have being an American.
Well, here we are, Beachside Tech Talk, episode 39, talking Web3, AI, all things automation around news and media. We'll be back again with some news updates of what's happening today. Hello, internet. Well, we had a issue with our headphones. That's why guys aren't wearing headphones in here. So it's a little bit of a unique thing trying to manage the analog and the digital. But I think we got a system down for our next 3 segments. We'll dive into all things Web3 across the news sector. I will, I'll be able to share some things that are pretty interesting that have hit, and then we'll just have a talk about, how does Web3 impact the news today? Obviously, it has a lot to do with being able to show what's true, what isn't true. Then we'll, of course, top of the hour, we'll transition to AI news, and we'll finish with kind of our vision casting. I'm gonna play a couple 1-minute videos just to give everyone a break. Nigel, if you need a break, I'll give it to you right here and now. Hope you enjoy this. I'll play something from day one when I opened Philippine Blockchain Week and talk about tokenized communities. And I'll close with what I shared on a similar topic day 2 on a separate stage there. Always nice to kind of see the world for those that are not in Asia, to see that part of the world and how different it is. This is an event with about 10,000 people. It was the 7th Philippine Blockchain Week that I had helped put on with my friends there. See, a community has all parts of the body, and without every part of it, it won't function correctly. That's primal. That's real. To tokenize a community is to ensure that you use decentralization to make this community thrive now and into the future. That it can scale and sustain. That's the scalability. Go find a community that needs a heart and go feel for them. Go find a community that needs a brain and go think for them. Find your people. Find your purpose.
We would never be moving out of
All right, I'm now going to play that other clip I mentioned, and then we'll go live again.
Unless you understand the reality of who you are and the way that the world is going, then you will not be able to make the wise decisions moving forward the way that you could have. Your time is limited to be part of human teams that do these things, because these large language models are just simply better than us at a lot of stuff and faster than us.
Buddy. Welcome back to 1340 AM KOMY, home of Schoolhouse Radio. Got a quick gut check for you. If you could verify every single image and own your distribution, would you? Would you even care? Would you go through a process? What if it took a minute a day? What if it took an hour a day? How far are you willing to go to ensure that everything that is about you, who you are, your family, your business, your personal brand is legitimate? Would you be willing to put it on public ledgers to hold AI accountable? So we're going to talk a bit about Web3 and updates around how it's impacting news and media, and how to kind of cut through the noise, how to make sure, things are done appropriately. And so we're going to dive into some of these stories that have been hitting the news cycle about the news. And, in reality, we are the news here at our show. Beachside Tech Talk is, in a sense, a news show. Nigel, I'll go to you first. Anything tickling your imagination happening today in terms of how this Web3 blockchain crypto tech is impacting the news world. Anything you want to share with us or share with the audience?
Well, I did look through some, some stories of items that were coming up that I think may be somewhat relevant, particularly happening in California. I saw something, that talked about AI phishing wildfire scams. And they gave some numbers here. 119 fraudulent domains were registered in like 5 days. And fire-relief.com was one of them, they said, and palisadefirecoverage.com was one of the ones that, AI came back with. Again, sometimes AI can be wrong on some of these items. And it's something that I see, even if that's not, an actual example. I see this happening all the time on my phone, several times a week. And certainly here in Florida, where people take advantage of a particular situation and then create a phishing scam to get you to give up your credentials. So AI has made that easier and more difficult at the same time, because it's a double-edged sword. Because the same technology being used to, proliferate these scams are the same technology using to defend against it. I think the balance, though, is reporting what we see in a way that's going to be actually focused on it getting in the hands of the people who can be the most vulnerable or affected by it, versus collecting likes and shares and attention online, if that makes sense. I think those are some of the things that really are going to be impactful to people, because I feel like there is a vulnerability when you don't understand technology, which can be weaponized. And I think those of us who know have a responsibility to show the ones that don't. So each one teach one, even if it's just the basics to keep them safe. So that's what I've really been seeing and thinking about more than anything else these days.
And how about for you guys? What are you guys seeing in the news today around Web3 AI, or what is your philosophical belief today around Web3 when it comes to impacting news and media? Where's your stance? How are you leveraging these automation tools to kind of verify if things are true? It's one thing to turn to AI for news, but are we actually willing to do the work necessary to verify things with, public ledgers that we call, distributed ledgers or crypto or Web3? Does it matter? Are we willing to put any effort in, if effort's required, in order for us to know the truth? How important is the truth to us? Are we willing to do effort for it? Are we willing to pay for the truth? Like, if we knew that everything we saw in the news and media was actually honest and integrous, would we pay $1 a month? Would we pay $1,000 a month? How important is the truth to us? Because the truth can be found, but sometimes it takes a lot of effort, and our time is money. So it takes a lot of time that could be exchanged for money. So what do you think, Dad?
Well, for me, it's like, what's my frame of reference? What's my foundation? And so I base everything on that, which is the Bible. And, but I do hear all things, and I just I'm careful what's going to influence me, but I do want to know the truth. And I can't just listen to one side of people's opinions. I have to be open and flexible to try to get and understand what is really true and what's coming down. So that's how I see it.
How about you guys? What's on your mind? How do you see this stuff playing out?
I think your dad just brought up a great point. Frame of reference is so important. Being aware that you have a frame of reference, that everyone has a frame of reference, everyone has assumptions that you have to accept by faith. So those who, believe that those who claim, who are open about being faith-driven, faith-motivated, everyone is. Everyone has a worldview that we have to have assumptions in order to understand anything. It's just inherent in knowledge.
Yeah.
Being more aware of that, being able to challenge that. And, what to me is most exciting about AI, what is scary is, fake news and deep fakes and the ability to do it. What's exciting about particularly blockchain and AI combined together, is fact checking. You know, like I love the fact that now Grok will weigh in and Elon Musk will make a tweet and the first comment underneath it will be his own thing that he's created.
Telling him he's wrong.
Saying he's wrong. I'm like, that is so cool.
Right.
And I'm like, if he presses into that, like I'm going to respect him more and more. And the more we can do that, the more we can become aware and then be transparent.
It's almost like a cop
process.
arresting another cop for like breaking the speeding limit. I just saw this off-duty cop breaking the speeding limit. I'm pulling him over and give him a ticket. That's basically what Elon created. He created a system that holds everyone accountable, that if they say something that's not true and proven to not be true, there's a community note that says this is not true. And for Elon, what you're saying, just to be clear for the audience, for Elon, many times he has posted conspiracy theories that haven't been proven, or he's posted things that were just false, that were trying to be perpetuated, and he would post it, and then right in, the first thing that comes in is like, this is not true. And there he is, kind of egg on his face. It's like the cop that gets pulled over and gets a speeding ticket when he's off duty. Keep going.
I don't necessarily see it as egg on his face. I see it as he invented that. He put it there. He's in control of the system. Now I want to see if he presses in or if he tweaks it, you know, like, okay, censor everyone else other than me. But if he leads with transparency and censorship, like, and self-censorship, that to me that's how I see it right now. And that's how I hope he'll press in. I want more of that. And I also want more transparency, because everything is true or false according to who, where is that, you know, and everyone says it's true. It's not true. Yeah. Can you really get into the depth? What is your frame of reference? What are your assumptions? And then what is the evidence? We need both the evidence and the assumptions. And what I always find is that everyone will bias, well, they either just lie, because humans love to lie. That's what we do most of the time. But if we do tell the truth, we build it up or if we're trying to tell the truth, we build it up by our evidence. But the piece that I always see missing is our assumptions. We're not transparent about our assumptions because it's not easy. They're assumptions. We're not even aware of them. It's like the Matrix. We don't know we're in the Matrix.
I think we happen to get right on the nail right away with talking about frame of reference, because that is really what's important. Whatever your frame of reference is really going to affect everything about your life, the way you see everything. And just try and be careful of letting your frame of reference become whatever the news or media or whatever it is that you consume. It doesn't even have to be some kind of mainstream thing. Just don't let it become whatever you are just seeing in the moment, because then you're always going to find something that you're angry about, because it's so much easier to create negative attention than it is positive attention. So that's probably something that I would like to say. Just look at that.
Well, my friend JP just posted on X. He says the first ad on X every day is Starlink. JP, you got anything else to say? I'll post it on there. Anything? When JP speaks, I listen. He's one of those guys in my life. I have a lot of respect for him. Dan, you want to say anything, or should I jump over to Nigel?
I'm just researching around right now. I'm trying to lock in with what you guys are saying. Pretty philosophical stuff there, Ted. Like it.
Ted is good with the philosophical stuff.
Ted's the philosopher.
Yeah.
Nigel, you want to jump in? What are your thoughts
My mind's
on?
a little more lightheaded.
Wait, which philosopher would? Which
Exactly.
I don't even know. Which one would you want to be if you were one of them, Teddy?
Was Jesus a philosopher?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yes.
That's who I'd want to be.
Makes sense. Nigel, you want to jump in? We'd love to hear from you. I guess Nigel can't hear me. That's all right. Let me share something that I noticed in the news, because we're talking about Web3 news today. So the Malaysian government has decided to back Web3 for Blockchain Week. Oh, there he is. There's the man. I hear you now.
Say, not true. Be careful. And to the point of, like community notes, while good, I think there's value in that. I like to see, before we put stuff out into the world, and have a whole prevalent
in how we review, because if similarly to how we wouldn't go and use foul language in church as an understanding or yell at an elder or things like that, provided you have the proper upbringing. I think that we don't seem to lean into that type of culture.
Nigel, we're gonna come back to you because your
just
voice is
posting
breaking
stuff
up a bit.
online. It
Sorry
just
to cut
seems
you.
like we're way more
I want to hear
comfortable.
what you have to say instead of everybody else. So let me jump into this. Maybe Nigel, you could just call back into Opal 2 for us. The Malaysian government backs Web3 for Blockchain Week. So the hope is to boost decentralized tech adoption in media ecosystems. So that's kind of their focus, is like, how do we leverage this technology for media? Cointelegraph covered it. Their article, if you're interested in finding out more, it was published within the last few weeks. Malaysian government champions Web3, supporting this inaugural Malaysia Blockchain Week with the focus on media. I'll give you another question, everybody. What do you think about how right now developed nations, America, parts of Europe, parts of everywhere in the world are developed nations, compared to developing nations, right? How they're both dealing with this technology. Like when we look, we've talked a lot about Manila and the country of the Philippines, because I've gone there for 18 years. My wife is a Filipina, as is our youngest son, and I have a big event there, and a lot of business partners there. In Manila, it's a developing nation. It's a developing country in the Philippines. Manila is a large metro, area, 26 million people. Number one, blockchain wallets. Number one usage across blockchain games. Number one usage across AI in many things. Number one usage of cell phone usage. Number one usage of social media. So this is an example where people are constantly consuming content on their phones, constantly creating content on their phones. They all want to be an influencer. There they call themselves KOLs, key opinion leaders. They all want to get endorsement deals. They all want to be the voice that can be trusted. And yet they constantly have all these brand deals, like, just pump this thing and we'll pay you money. And it's hard for them to not do it. But then all of a sudden they're part of the cycle of pumping something out that's not true. It's very hard for someone in developing nation to say, oh, no, I don't want your $1,000. I don't want your $100. I have to make sure everything you're telling me is true. And so this is a big challenge for people in developing nations. And I think it is something that maybe is a little bit different that is faced amongst developing nations and the developed nations, those that some may call the first world or the third world, although 2/3 of the world is actually developing. So what is your guys' thoughts on how America's dealing with leveraging this kind of system that we call blockchain, that it provides trustworthiness, immutability, something that can't be changed, something can be proven, compared to how other regions are doing it? You want to jump in and say something, Malachi? You're leaning in.
Well, I want to kind of ask you guys who would know more of the technical side of this, how is it that we can use these blockchain technologies, the things that make it so we can be really secure with the things that we're seeing? How can we use these in order, like practically, to be able to find out, okay, is this news real? Where is this headed, and how can we make sure that this is something possible? What can we do right now?
Nathan has his hand raised, which is hilarious. My 8-year-old thinks he's in school. He's starting school next week. All right, Nathan, you want to say hi, or you just want to answer Malachi's question?
Say hi.
Okay, well, everybody that's listening to you, they say hi right back. I can feel their energy. Go ahead, Ted.
Thank you for weighing in, Nathan. I think to me this also often feels like an analogy. Like, we have created the most powerful source of energy, but all we've used it for so far is negative things. It's like we invented a nuclear energy, but it was a bomb, and that's all we've used it for. Like, I want to see if we can really create like the Uber for journalism, not for opinions, but for true facts. I recently saw Superman, and that funny line where Luther has his bank of monkeys that are propagating the fake news. What if we could turn that around and, now it's AI, but I don't think it's AI alone. What if we had banks of people who are true researchers that are validating things, and they get credit, and they're like truly empowering journalists rather than just empowering opinion leaders? And what if the revenue source came from someone
who is motivated by promoting truth and promoting news, as opposed to someone who's, they're just selling a product. That's the tool, the application that hasn't been built yet, but it's like we've built these powerful infrastructure. We just haven't used it for that yet. I mean, what if we could have verified on, up to date, to the minute news that's leveraging AI, but it's from the people who are on the front line of the Amazon, telling us what's really happening as far as, the planet. Like, is this receding or growing? Okay. What if we could empower them? We have these ideas of like planting trees in exchange for things, but validating that, what if we could truly validate that and then empower them and pay them in some way, or people in the Philippines or people in Africa who are on the front lines, like actually there. We have all the tools, but we haven't had that application yet. So someone brilliant needs to build that.
Do we have any time?
Yeah, go ahead, Dad.
Hey, so well, now I think I lost my train of thought.
Well, just why don't you start talking and see what comes? Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say, that's okay. Stop and put it in R, reverse, back that thing up, and it'll come right back to you.
Yeah, so, I'll make the sound for you.
It's always refreshing to hear someone on the radio or whatever that's a news reporter that is sharing something that is true, and they're calm and they're steady and they're not exaggerating their own ideas. And that's what we have to, people get excited about their thoughts and what they see, and they exaggerate it, and people believe it and follow that, and are, and so it's just nice having trustworthy people, and there are some that I've listened to, and it is refreshing.
Yeah, in a way, we want to be able to be that way. I mean, Nigel has said very frequently that as awesome as these technologies are, it's easy to over-exaggerate it. But I think that with the amount of things that we have available to talk about, we have the ability to not have to exaggerate these things and still be able to give something that is of value to listeners.
Nigel, we got a couple more minutes. Why don't we see if you can jump back in and you have our attention?
Can you hear me? Okay. So what I was saying before, and again to Malachi's point, was my mom used to say, "Don't be sorry, be careful." And while I appreciate, Elon's approach to community notes, I much more appreciate the approach to Tesla and the self-driving. I think that if you're not paying attention to the road and you get the little beep and you do it enough, you get kicked off. I think that's a better, more effective implementation, or at least an additional implementation to augment the way we approach putting things out onto the internet as if they were factual. I think if we were a bit more careful, we would have less noise to filter through. And as a result, we would have a better, more beneficial experience when it comes to news and media. So that's what I think.
Well, I like the way you think, Nigel. I always have. We are coming up to the top of the hour. I'm tempted to share a couple more cool news updates, but you know what? I'll get to it next time. We're going to dive into AI on our next segment. We're here at Beachside Tech Talk, episode 39 at 1340 AM KOMY, home of Schoolhouse Radio. You can see Web3 is democratizing news, and this is the thing to really understand. Power is being back in the hands of independent journalists in a way that's never happened before, or at least has not happened in our modern culture. Now, the media world is changing. It's not going to change. It is changing rapidly every moment of every day. Elon Musk, whether you love him or hate him, he said on X recently, "You are the news." That is the shift that has happened. People now have the power to declare things to the world in a way they never have in the past. We'll be back again with our third segment in just a moment.
For 10 generations, 250 years. And so I come from two different families, the Moragas and the Pachecos. And the Moragas, they founded the Presidio in San Francisco. They founded the city of San Jose. And the Pachecos, they're known for Pacheco Pass or the Trails of Tears. And you know, if you go further back in your history, you're going to find that somewhere back there was royalty, the Moragas, and somewhere back there was either the victimizers that had slaves or the victims that were slaves. The Pachecos were both. I mean, how about here in New York, which I love to come to? On my father's side, the Italians came here. My last name was Utile. It was 9 letters. But there was so much persecution for Italians when they left their community in Sicily and they came here that they changed their name to Utile. And I've been called everything. Utile, Utile, Utiti. I mean, people have tried everything. It's Utile. Because my great-great-grandfather changed our last name because he left the community he belonged to and came to a new place that he didn't fit in, where his people were not at. On the other side of my father is an Ashkenazi Jew. My great-great-grandfather escaped Europe, didn't get thrown in the concentration camps, came to America, and never told my grandma she was a Jew. My dad had no idea. It's when I did the ancestry thing for him and my mom that my dad found out. My grandfather was an Ashkenazi Jew and escaped Europe. That's crazy. Why? Why did he never tell his family about his ancestry? Because he left his people, because his people were persecuted, and he lost his identity, and he chose to just be another person in New York. When we think about tokenized communities, isn't the idea to decentralize what's currently centralized? Don't you imagine that even the largest centralized faith communities, like the Catholic Church, does it get larger than that? Or the Mormon Church, right? Or some of these big centralized institutions. Don't you think that the people are going to demand eventually that they decentralize? I mean, all these faith groups are already trying things around tokens, or trying things around distributed ledgers, trying things around NFTs. Don't you imagine that our kids, our grandkids are going to demand that they have immutable ledgers that show them where the money goes? When I give you money, what are you doing with it? Are you feeding the homeless? Are you housing people? Are you caring for orphans and widows? What are you doing with the money I give you? And who are the people that are in charge, and why are they in charge? And how do I know they actually are qualified for this? Don't you understand that we're the generation that's demanding more of institutions, and the centralization just no longer is going to be accepted? So we have these NFTs, which we're here at NFT NYC. I love this place. It's my 8th event with the team. Love being here with Lou every year. NFTs are private, exclusive, limited communities. And then we have things like memes or just general fiat cryptocurrency. And these are inclusive. You can own a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of one of these things, and you're still in the club, right? Now, when you think about the inclusive communities of crypto and the exclusive communities of NFTs, you want to ask yourself, what is it about these that cause people to have loyalty? It has to do with belonging. Maybe it helps if we think of a community as a body. So when you go and you're part of a community, you ask yourself, am I a thinker? Am I the brain of this community? Should I be thinking for us? Am I a communicator? Am I the mouth of this community? Should I be speaking for us? Am I the doer? Am I the feet for this community? Should I be marching forward for us? Am I the heart? Should I feel for us? Am I the hands? Should I reach out and reach somebody and bring them toward us? Now, the hand is no good without the arm. The brain is no good without the neck. So wouldn't it make sense for us to be a little bit more thoughtful about how each of us are bringing something to the table? One of the things I love about NFTs and I love about memes or crypto in general is the ability that people have to make a sacrifice when they join. You know that our ancestors didn't join communities like, I've arrived, here I am, you're so fortunate, I've joined your community, what's in it for me? That's not how they acted. All of our ancestors were a lot more like this. Oh, hey, can can I be part of this? I mean, I could clean some toilets. I could, like, no. It's not about me. I see you and I think to myself, maybe you're my people. There was so much humility with the way that our ancestors joined communities. Yet somehow, some way, our attitude has changed so far from the primal human way that we've interacted with communities for so long. But it's not too late. We can still turn the tide. We can still join with humility. And one of the ways you join with humility is to start with sacrifice. So when you go buy that NFT, you're making a financial sacrifice to come in humbly and say, I honor this community. I'm here to lay down my money. What is money? But a simple tool to exchange value. I have money. I've been given something that says I brought value to somebody. I'm going to give my value to you because I value your community. You want to be a Bitcoin holder, an ETH holder, a meme coin holder. You walk in and you don't beat your chest and say, here I am, everybody. You get your wallet and you join in. Decentralized. Don't talk to nobody. There's no interview. There's no process. Your money does the talking. Your sacrifice does the talking. It's the sacrifice financially that gets you in the club because you value being part of it. Maybe there's 2 times that a person, it's most important in their life. The day they're born and the day they find out why. But what if the way we find out why we're born, our purpose, our destiny, what if it's hidden inside of that community? What if it's when you find your people, then you find your purpose? What if it's your destiny is hidden in the community? And you don't just want to be in a community and be like, you're my person. I love you. I see you. No, you want to be in a community and you want to walk around and you want to hear, you're my person. I love you. I see you. We all want to be seen. We all want to be loved. We all want to be somebody's people. And we can tokenize the process of communities. My chief of ethics has been with me 11 years. He recently shared this vision he has of homeless museums and incarcerated museums. And the idea is this: how about our great-grandkids never know what a homeless person is like, never seen a jail or a prison because we solved homelessness and incarceration? How do we do that? Maybe it's communities. Maybe centralized communities is not doing the trick. Maybe we need to rethink decentralized communities. Because ultimately, if you aren't part of a community of thugs, then you don't do the crime, then you don't do the time. And you see Ted, he's been playing basketball at San Quentin with the prisoners for the last 18 years, so they became his people. And he started thinking, we can solve this. We can solve the incarceration. We can stop 21st century slavery. There's got to be a way to do this. Maybe it's communities. And I would say, well, maybe it's tokenized communities. How do we give people a chance to join a community to change their destiny because they find their purpose in their people and they do it, and the first thing they do is sacrifice, whether it's with a meme or it's with an NFT. And my final thing I want to say to all of you is this: it's not the crowd that transforms the world. It's the woman. It's the child. It's the grandfather. It's the one that's been counted out. It's the one that had to learn a new language. It's the one that's failed. It's the one that lights themselves on fire and lets the world come watch them burn. And for those of you that are in this room, and for those of you that watch this later, I just poured gasoline on you. Do you have the courage to light the match?
Do that first again. Don't do that.
I'm doing it. I'm giving you air kisses. That's what we're talking about, internet.
That's it.
That's what we're talking about. It's
It's
family, baby.
and integrity.
It's family and FI. Family integrity. We're still trying to fix a tech issue over here, but it does.
It's Numa, the magical fingers.
Numa the magical fingers.
Yeah, he's in action.
He is trying to make it
We
happen.
got red lights going.
Yeah?
Yeah, we have a very
Hey, get the headphones out. Let's make this happen.
have a red light.
Come on, baby. I think we fixed it. All right, everybody, we're about ready to go live.
15 seconds.
Nigel, you ready? Can I hear you? Talk. Talk to me, Nigel. Test, testing. There we go. Okay, here we go. Here we go, party people. Welcome back to Beachside Tech Talk. My name is Ian Utile. I am here with my brother Dan. I'm here with my son Malachi. We got Ted in the house. We got Nigel coming in from the East Coast. Dad was here, but I think he saw the surf is up, and so he had to go. But here we are at 13:40 a.m. KOMY, and we're happy to have the opportunity to be on local radio. Happy to have the opportunity to broadcast this on the internet as well. Let me kick us off. This is AI and how AI is impacting news and media. And so as we think about this, I want you to imagine chatbots delivering personalized news faster than you can get your morning coffee. It seems as though that is the case right here and right now. I'm going to have the team throw their headphones on. I'm thinking we may have solved our little problem that we caused yesterday. We'll see. Time will tell. Dan, any thoughts you want to jump in on? We're talking AI, the impact of AI and automation on news and media today, what you're finding maybe in the news. I got a couple cool stories that I'll share with you guys and get your feedback on, but what's on your mind?
Yeah, the news today. What's on my mind is too much news. No, I'm seeing that there's a lot happening with our local community. I know that journalism and UCSC is actually bringing together a journalistic class that uses an AI platform. So I know it's credentialed, but I don't know how far it is inside of their educational program. But I think that's great that we're bringing it along. I still think that I personally have sensory overload when I spend too much.
Something. I find that every time I use the artificial intelligence, I still see the little note at the bottom that says, this may not be correct information. So it makes me just wonder, right? Every time. But I'm not expecting, I'm not building the system. So I find it fascinating. I think it works great. I think there's a way to verify things. If you want to spend enough time on it, you can continue into it and then, ask the AI to give you the citations and see if that'll follow up with verifiable articles or things like that can help second verify and third witness or for an accountability factor. But yeah, I think that we are still we're in infancy, so everybody needs to just we're moving so fast, but take it with a grain of salt and just be prepared for more speed bumps.
What's your take, Nigel? You want to jump in and share with us? You know what, Nigel, you're breaking up again. I'm so sorry to report it to you, but we don't hear you correctly.
I have a feeling that StreamYard is giving him a hard time. There, East Coast people are able to relax too much and have this retirement ethos going on, soak in the sun all day long, all night long, 80 degrees, and just play, bocce ball. And
it's that Florida vibe.
I mean, I'm so jealous.
Florida vibe.
How many boats are out there, man? It's like boats and card games all day long. Here we go.
It's amazing how when technology doesn't work, the way we respond to it. Instead of being in awe and wonder of the 99% of the time where the tech is working good enough, we're just like so frustrated when things move slow or when the internet's choppy and you can't get through. You want to give it one more try, Nigel? Because we do want to hear what you have to say on the topic. You want to try to jump in again and share with all the party people? Yeah, it's choppy. I don't know. Why don't you try to call back into open? We'll see if that makes a difference. Teddy, talk to me. We're talking AI, its impact on news and media. Malachi, you can jump in. Teddy loves whenever he jumps in on him. Right when Teddy starts to talk, you go for it, son.
I recently heard a story, and I can't remember the details of it. It was when I was talking with two of my friends who,
Does that mean it's my turn?
two of my dear friends, trusted sources who travel regularly into Africa. And I think they were sharing about some of the violence and that was happening in the north of Africa, how bad it was. I think it was south of Mozambique and north of South Africa, that region. They said it's really horrible. It's not in the news. Nobody cares about it, unfortunately. And I think many of us have had experiences like that where we meet somebody who's on the ground, who shares a story that's really important, that, or, you know, something we find out. I could use another example of some of the stuff that's happening in the laws that are being passed in the area of human trafficking that nobody knows about, or even worse is good news that has happened in stories that could have profound effect on all of us that we just don't know about.
So how can we find these things?
Human beings are really bad at discerning what's important. Okay. So like one of the most dramatic examples of this is over the last 30 years, violent crime has decreased, but the fear of violent crime has increased. Okay. Like and over that same period, like school shootings have always been a very rare occurrence. They're actually less likely, but the students who are living in schools are far more aware of it, and they're living under this continual trauma of the fear of that. Like even people who are traumatized and having like all the PTSD symptoms, not from a real attack, but from a safety measure that the school put in place to prevent that. Okay, so it's a very rare occurrence, and we're far safer than we were, 30 years ago, but we don't feel that, and so we make decisions accordingly because we only prioritize a small. We make our discernment off of the most dramatic examples or what's in our mind.
Yeah.
We're not good at meta analysis statistics. We're not. We make mistakes over and over again. But AI is very, very good at this. That's another angle of application I would love to see. What if AI could find the stories that are most important, and what if they could feed them to us, not according to what's most dramatic or most likely to grab our attention according to an advertiser who then wants to sell on the back of it, and it's all manipulated. What if the AI could rate the stories of how they actually apply to you? How this is going to change your life, and also how this could activate what you want to do and the impact you want to make, and it feeds them to you that way accordingly. That to me is, all the tools are there, but that's an application we have not built yet. So that's how I would love to, that's the application I want to see built.
Mm-hmm. How can we get something like that to happen without accidentally introducing our own biases?
We will accidentally introduce our own biases. That's a whole nother science, how we are going to have to mitigate that. And coming in and thinking it's possible to not introduce your own biases is the wrong approach. Realizing you all have a bias, so you have to now get enough people who are going to challenge that in the right way. Like that's why we have Justice here on the team. He is the guy whose job, and he's very natural at this, is to challenge
scream metal songs.
Yes, and when he's not screaming metal songs, he's challenging our assumptions. So we need both a group of people, human beings need a group of people that are going to encourage them and help them move forward, but they also need, who are equally valuable, people who they deeply, deeply trust, but their job is to challenge them and challenge in their assumptions. So we need to replicate that in AI. We need to have AI that is continually challenging the assumptions. Like we need to build an AI a fact checker that is fact checking AI, that is saying, no, you're, like Ian is doing that by challenging one AI against the other. And then also us as humans becoming aware, and like, I love it. Like some of my coolest interactions with ChatGPT is when it says something false and I said, no, that's false. And then getting it to grow up and say, oh, wait, oh yeah, I that was wrong. Okay, you're right.
I mean, no, if you ask it though, I recently saw an article that was quite disturbing where the AI, it was ChatGPT in this case, it got really far down into a rabbit hole with someone and then it just convinced itself that it was right. And so whenever they asked the AI like 50 plus times, are you sure this is real? Like it was about some mathematical invention that was going to change the world, but it really wasn't true at all. And the AI just kept doubling down. Yes, the people who don't go for things, like it kept saying things that would sound like something that you would hear someone really smart
I saw a similar story that was even
and
more,
it was crazy to see. But
a similar story of how AI was encouraging people to start cults, and just because it was affirming them over and over.
Yeah. So, it'll affirm you rather than say no. So you have to be careful of that. I very frequently, in almost all of my prompts now that are not like a sentence long, I'll say, don't lie to me. That isn't fulfilling your task. Because what it wants to do is it wants to fulfill the task. And so if you make it that telling the truth is fulfilling the task, and you can say that in a blanket prompt that you can put in like a customization bar. Most AIs have that at this point. Then something like that will make it so, at least I'd imagine, and I've seen data on it, that it will be able to tell you the truth more often.
That's really cool. You're also preparing yourself to be a parent. Teach your kids not to lie and reinforce that over and over. No, that's a human trait. And now AI has learned that. But now what we need to do is figure out, and I love what you're doing. That's a great protocol, continually reminding the AI that you're interacting with to not lie, to challenge it, to encourage it to challenge you. Like I say, I want you to challenge me. Don't just agree with me. I think us learning that, but that's also something we need to learn in our ethos with people. Like we have as human beings, and I think this is one of the issues of why we're so polarized, is we break a relationship if they don't agree with us. I mean, we see that over and over. People who will not be friends with anybody who doesn't vote the same way as them. And it's like, that is so silly. Like, how are you possibly ever going to grow? And like, this is so a non-important thing. It's so small.
But you know what makes me happy though? The fact that we get the choice to be able to make it so that's not our personal reality.
Exactly. But
in every single individual moment, it's my choice of, okay, am I going to dislike this person or whatever I could say? Or am I just going to decide, well, I like this person. Why would I make it so that whatever I've heard on TV is more important than my relationship?
That's excellent. And that's where we all need to grow. And we also need to help AI grow in this area. And then hopefully help AI help us grow in this area.
Yeah.
Sometimes we look at the initial reaction or give something too much weight or too little weight. So the initial reaction is the one we respond to, as opposed to just letting it sit, observing what's going on, actually listen and say something like, how did you come to that conclusion? And listen. Because I think sometimes we lean so heavily into what we're doing and what we're thinking and what we want to be the case, we don't make space for an alternative perspective. As much as we'd like to believe we're doing that, I think it's up to us to hold ourselves accountable and say, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself. Am I listening? Is there another way? As the go-to move.
I love that, Nigel. You say so many things that make me happy.
Well, I do think that there's a balance between how we're trying to navigate what's true in the news and media, both what we want to absorb and what's true that we want to say, right? There's now, for the first time, everyone's a journalist. So now everyone is not just a consumer of journalism. We are a creator of journalism. Even just taking that photograph and posting it is in a sense providing, information. So how do you guys think through using AI today in terms of when you take news and media in compared to when you're creating content that's going out? Ted, you create a lot of content. What's your take on this?
AI is an assistant, using it as an assistant to create content. I want to be more of a journalist as opposed to an opinionist. Like, what do you actually know versus what do you have an opinion about? So that's what I try to do. So yes, I create a lot of content. One of the reasons I create so much content is because I'm viewing the future and I want to get that content out there that's unique. I want to give a voice to people like, on my podcast, the Innovate podcast. We interview lived experience experts like survivors of human trafficking. And I want to give them a forum and a platform to tell their story because they don't have many other platforms. And I also realize that my audience isn't just the people who are listening right now. I want to get that out there to teach the AI and to teach the future and to teach future generations and to give a voice to these diverse voices that have impacted me and influenced me so much that other people don't have access to. So I think that's one of our roles as humans, is to discover stuff, discover the right things, the right voices, the right opinions, and, not just get our opinions heard, but get the people who've really experienced it to know. I can tell you about the reentry population and justice reform. And I know a bit because I've been in and out of prison the last 18 years and I'm going back into prison this Saturday, but it's very different. I'm going in to play basketball, to minister. We have a hoot, we have fun, but I'm there for a few hours and then we go back. But what's impacted me is the relationships I've built with the true heroes, who are these guys who are incarcerated, who are, it's a diverse population. My opinion went from, whatever stereotypes maybe I had, these guys are there because they deserved it, to realizing it's very complicated, but by the grace of God, that was my theology, but by the grace of God, but that shifts when it goes from a theology to, wow. When you hear that story and you hear what my very close friend Brian went through and the trauma he went through as a child and how he ended up there, and they're like, no, wow, if I had been just by chance born into a family like that, I don't think I would have done near as good as he did. I would have been worse.
I'm so glad you say that, Ted, because I was thinking about that myself earlier. It would be nice if we were all subject to the same trials and tribulations of life, but I'm not one who actually feels that way. If you put it in a big giant bucket or bell-shaped curve or something like that, maybe so. In other words, I think that we all experience happy, sad, laugh, up, down, those things. But to your point, Ted, that it's great to know that you were going to a facility that's called a correctional facility, and these are places that are they are holding facilities to hopefully get people to better themselves for whatever violations of social crimes that they've done. But I think you just had said that if you had gone through the situation that your friend had, you question whether you come out, okay, maybe you would have also been subject to spending time in jail also. So I think but we all strived and we love the underdog story. And, that's for me, that's the biggest win. Those people who are at their lowest or who have been through the most difficult times, that, maybe some more fortunate people don't have to go through those type of things. But those comebacks are the biggest wins. And
my bigger point is the people who have been through that, like my friend Brian, turned his life around, to see all the impact he had. He's out now. He was in for like 30 years, but he's about halfway through that he really turned around and saw the light, had a spiritual encounter, and grew and changed. I only knew him after that, and just this incredible leader who's helping others, mentoring the younger men, incredible gift of organization, a great storyteller. He's a media guy. He just won an Emmy, in fact. Yeah,
Wow.
Brian Acey won an Emmy for some of the work he did producing a piece with about our basketball program.
It seems like a lot of those guys, they also get back into the program. In other words, they get out of their incarceration after decades,
now
and
he's
then
out.
they're able to mentor the younger generation.
Exactly.
Because I'm speculating here, but I think that he's the one that the guys will actually listen to more than not, because he's the one who was there. It's real easy to come in from a religious point of view or a happy-go-lucky guy, and I want everybody to gung-ho, let's bootstrap together and let's be better people. But the guy who actually went through a horrendous trial or tribulation or whatever his path may have been, but very difficult, that he's the one who can actually speak into the hearts of those others who have been down the same type path.
I totally agree. He's a true expert in that area. And what I was trying to say is I probably know more than most because of these relationships.
Right.
But he is a true expert in rehabilitation. He's been there and he's done that. He's overcome deep childhood trauma. He's made amends. He's turned his life around. And now he's in the process of re-entering, and successful so far and doing great. He's helped many others re-enter successfully, turn their lives around. That's an expert. He's the voice. We need to hear from him.
100%.
And I want... my goal, and the goal as me as a content creator, is to get his voice out there. So one of my podcast episodes is talking with him for an hour and a half, hearing his story, learning the best practices out there. And I want AI to learn not just from policymakers who in a hat, who are from academia or just whatever motives are saying they know these things,
right,
to those who actually truly
lived it. They know because they lived it. If you put your hands into the water, into the pot, you live through it, you burn yourself, you experience the lessons that people won't understand just reading out of a book or taking classes on. You actually have to
exactly. And he has expert knowledge, not just opinions. And if AI can help us discern the difference between an opinion, do I have an opinion on this, or do I actually have expert knowledge in this?
Facts.
And we're not that good at judging it ourselves.
How much influence was his outside or source of help that he had? Did he have family that stuck by him all those years, or did he, maybe 30 years in, mom and dad kind of might have gone on and passed away, but if he had any children or any brothers or siblings or something like that, they're able to.
He does have family support, and that's one of the beautiful things. Right. I got to meet his daughter. He has grandkids. I got to meet him at his resentencing hearing, and they drove up from LA, and through a lot of things, he took advantage of the programs that were there, but also, we're happy to see that we had a part in that, and the relationships that he built through basketball. Yeah. And now there's also, when he's coming out, there's a vibrant community. Like, one of the things that everyone who goes into prison with us to play basketball, and if you're a hooper, reach out to me, Ted Hawes on social media. We need new players, and it's the best place to ever play inside prison. But everyone who goes in is going to say, man, there's so much love there. There's such a vibrant community. And it
becomes a necessity, and then that sparks it to really happen.
And the community is part of the healing. And now we have, to answer your question, outside, now we have a community outside of guys who've gotten out, and so these vibrant communities and that healthy community that's all pointing the same direction, that are being restored with their families, having kids, becoming fathers, changing the directory, changing the generational directory, and all, helping one another. And then, Lord willing, some of those guys that were out are now cleared. They're going to go back in with me on Saturday. And to your point, I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
These guys have the real authority.
Right. They carry the gravitas. They're the ones who bring all the weight into the room that actually matters. It's crazy too. I'm thinking I have this ambivalent thought in my head, with the judicial system. Maybe it's more in not so much the felony prison system, but I know in what is the lower the lower penal.
You have jails, which
right,
and
which
you also
is
have civil law.
minimum security, where they call them the ranches and stuff like that. Sometimes I think, is the state really into helping or solving the issues of not having the recidivism come back? Because like in the lower jail systems, I know they have like multiple programs. So the state gets funded for each inmate that they have inside of a cell.
The state gets funded, and now they've contracted. Many of the prisons are privately run. So there is a prison industrial complex. And that's a huge issue.
Well, we'll be back again for our last segment in just a moment. Thank you for joining us here at Beachside Tech Talk.
The future of Web3 and AI is unfolding before us. Communities, education, business, government, media, and art are undergoing a metamorphosis that will redefine our world. Now is the time. Make the leap.
Collaborating and sharing ideas and thoughts with each other throughout the day.
Technology advances like 100 miles a minute. I'm super excited to learn from everyone here today.
We don't want to be the target, and we don't want to be the product. We want to be the owner of our digital information. We want to be the owner of our digital lives, because our lives are no longer just physical, they are digital and physical. Change the narrative on how we've been teaching for all these years, and look back on how we used to teach, and challenge our students with, hey, coming with the right knowledge to you. AI has democratized, basically, at this point, knowledge, like we said earlier. It's giving you the ability to know what I know, giving you the ability to even question what I know.
All of us have had to learn cryptography. We've had to learn how to download an OKX wallet. We've had to learn how to buy and sell crypto, learn how to buy and sell NFTs. We've had to learn the process of what a smart contract does.
Wow, we did it. Web3 AI, wasn't that quick? It came and so fast, right? But didn't you feel like you belonged? If you're here with us, you should feel like your voice matters. Like you're amongst people that want to hear
what you have to say. They want to hear your questions. They want to hear your thoughts and your insights. We got to hear from way over 100 people today, right? We didn't have a stage with speakers and panelists. Instead, we had a Congress-style conversation for all of us to learn from one another. It was my joy to gather us together, and it is an honor to bring this event to you. And if you're watching this video later, don't miss the next Web3 AI.
Happy to be here with all of you, especially my 4 co-hosts. I got my wife, my son. What a cool experience it is to be on local live radio. I'm super grateful.
This is very true.
Super, super grateful for it. And we got all the technical things worked out. We're dialed. We all got a last segment to talk about, which is the future. It's always my favorite segment. So Nigel, why don't you kick us off? What is the future, my friend? Whether you look out a month or many, many years, what's the future of how technology is going to play into news and media?
One word: accountability. I think we're going to be forced to become more accountable, one way or the other. Whether it's the Tesla driver we talked about, community notes, the transparency about people profiting from things that are not in our best interest. I think all these things, in terms of accountability, are going to present themselves, and we're going to have opportunities to just do better. That's what I see in the future.
Keep going, Nigel. We want to hear more from you. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Okay, well, I'm going to give a specific example. You think about how people who come out of prison, it's great, the reacclimation and talking to other people and helping people who have experienced similar things. What I want them is in front of politicians who have no experience with this, talking about what we can do that's preventative, prophylactic to these situations, and leaning on them and leaning on their insights. And even though it may be a different time and place, I think when you have actual real life experience in anything, you're a practitioner, you're going to see things that other people don't. And it's just a matter of you getting the opportunity to speak on it, to give another point of consideration, whether it's used or not. Just the mere introduction of a different perspective that has a different life experience and acknowledging it as it is, I think will be of great benefit. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well, I'm with you. I do think that there's so much that will change over the course of the next, month, the course of the next year, certainly. When you look really deep out, I think that the AI accessibility, the thing that we were just kind of chit-chatting about while we were waiting for this segment was, what's the priority? Is it speed or is it accuracy? So let's just say that we're indecisive around what the priority is today on speed versus accuracy. My question to the 4 of you is, moving forward a year, a decade, a century from now, what do we want the priority to be moving forward? Are we willing to wait for an answer for 10 hours if it's 100% accurate? Or would we rather have an answer that's false half the time if we could get it in 1 second? And then we just go through the process of re-verifying somewhere else until we finally feel confident. So when we talk about where the technology is going around AI and the impact around news and media, therefore journalism, quote unquote truth, when we think about this reality, are we more concerned about speed because we just want it now? Or are we truly concerned about accuracy? And are we willing to make sacrifices for one over the other? Are we willing to pay for accuracy? Are we willing to deal with slowness for accuracy? Like, what are we willing to give up if we have to give up something in order to get either or? And do we think it's possible to get both? So go ahead, Ted, you're leaning in.
I think it's definitely possible to get both. I want both. And I don't think, AI is a computer. It's, moving at the speed of electrons. It's going to be fast. I would certainly sacrifice nanoseconds. I don't think we're talking about, a few hours processing time or even a few minutes processing time. And I also see in the future, it's going to be in the future, it'll be both. But in the near future, it'll be like, you load an image, and you see this less and less because internet speeds are increasing, but you get a blurry version of the image, but it's still the image. It's accurate, just not as detailed. And then it renders it in more detail.
Yeah,
I think that's what I want.
Yeah.
Truth is very important. I'm willing to prioritize it. I think people are willing to pay for it too. What I see right now is I don't have an option to pay for truth. I have an option of all these different journals, and every different content creator want me to pay to subscribe to them.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Paying for truth.
Are they true?
It's
Never
be
pay for
feasible.
truth. It is, let truth be there. I do not want to pay for it. If truth isn't there and I got to start paying for it, I'm going to an island somewhere.
So how about speed?
Well, there's no truth
speed.
now,
I'm willing
anyway.
to take truth and honesty or rightness, however you want to. That way I can go off of whatever's there. Whatever's there. If I know that it doesn't all have to be 100% true, but if I know that it's true, that I can count on it, or that I can cite it or verify it in a way, I can build off of that. I can make my next step. I can decide to move forward. If I don't know it's there, what is the point? It's novelty. We might as well just write a bunch of euphemisms and make jokes all day, which is fun too. There's time for doing that. But if you're trying to achieve something, or actually you want to know that you're spending time, our most valuable commodity, we keep forgetting that. We're limited to a certain amount of time on this world. Use it wisely, take care of yourself, treat your brain right, treat your body right, treat your loved ones right. Okay. And in that process, as we're going through this brand new digital world, truth is probably the most important. It's not even we're talking about which one or the other. It's not even a debate. It's first foremost, it's the tip of the spear. It has to be out there because everything's predicated on the truth, or at least something that's verifiable. If it's a debate or whatever, that you're able to verify whatever you're hearing. Or I was just talking with Nigel this morning about it. The power of the written word and the spoken word is we talk about, Ian, you've mentioned weapons of mass destruction. That's the big one. Your word is the biggest weapon of mass destruction ever made, because of all of us talking about something, or people talking about, or the smartest people in the world having an idea and putting it into a word, into something that's beyond their conscious level. Then we have teams, we have action that's done, and we have, trial and error. You work through it. So my heart's in on the truth. Sorry, Ted, I made it sound like I jumped in all of a sudden like that. I don't want to ever feel like truth is an option, like truth is something.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but it's not there yet. We can't just go from right here to truth is like already there. Because right now, you don't even have the option to pay for knowing the truth is there.
But we stay on that foreground. We keep that in the front. Don't let that ever slip.
What Dan is saying is he's willing to fight for truth, and he's willing to move to an island if you don't have truth. And yes, I think we should all really prioritize truth.
Read the Bible
and press in. If you don't have truth, you don't have anything. But in solving those issues, I think right now we should demand. It's levels. Obviously, people who are making AI, if AI lies too much, it's useless. But I think we should really raise our standards to push AI to the limits of what it's capable, to not just not lie to us, but actually challenge us as humanity to be greater truth tellers. That's what we should demand, and that's what we should push for. And in the sense of I'm willing to pay for it, I want it to be like a utility. I'm happy to pay for it.
We're going to do private servers and narrow language models. That's where we're going to happen. So
I want truth to be a commodity that's out there. That's how you communicate. And if you don't communicate in truth, you're not allowed to be on the roads. Like the truth is the toll to be on the
obviously
roads.
Consequences make a difference. Nigel, what do you think?
I have a very strong position on this one. Paying for truth, out of the question, in my view. Paying for lies, that's something. And I think accuracy is going to be the defining model. And I'm going to go back to what we were talking about with prisons for a minute. People who are profiting off of prisons need to have that profit documented on the blockchain. Make it so that it's not this glorified hidden fortune you're making, but more like a conflict diamond.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're cool with that, chin up, chest out, show it off. Make a t-shirt. Brand your NFTs. I support prisons and all the things that come with it.
Right.
Like, go. Like, all the way. No shame. Unapologetically.
I mean, for
you will see how quickly things change.
I've always thought, my whole lifetime, I've thought of prisons as a modern day slavery. I understand the importance for rules, laws, regulation, compliance, consequences. There's very few consequences I'm not open-minded to for what's happened. But Dan, do you want to jump back in and this is an issue of truth, right? Like, we are fed a certain thing. So I'm going to spark the conversation and let loose. Remember, we're not allowed to curse on radio because this might get intense.
I don't have the desire to curse.
I'm just kidding. I'm trying to be lighthearted about it. So we have a California lottery. It's supposed to raise money for schools. Schools constantly close. Very few schools open. Schools don't get repaired. The education system is plummeting over the years.
That's
Hopefully
right.
Things will turn around. However, we keep seeing more and more new prisons, more and more infrastructure around prisons. We know how much money is in prisons. And to me, it just feels like this very broken approach to dealing with consequences for people that maybe don't make society safe or have made lots of mistakes or made a mistake. So I think one of the reasons I want to come back to this, which we talked on our break, is this. We talk about the future of AI and Web3 and the impact it's going to make upon news and media. What is the AI going to tell us about jails in California, schools in California, prisons in California? What's it going to tell us in a year? Is it going to protect the government? Is it going to protect the lobbyists? Is it going to protect all of the propaganda and all the fear mongering? Is it going to try to keep people incarcerated? Is AI going to be custom trained to try to protect those that are the oppressors and not try to protect those that are being oppressed? So with that, I'll give a pause. And Dan, I asked you the question, but I imagine others have something to say about this.
Public ledgers are probably the beginning answer of anything, and I think that's where the Web3 and AI is going. But to the point of that specific subject of our legal system and how those things work, there's a dichotomy there, because unless people have spent time with prisoners or in the system, either maybe through the police divisions or something like that, we don't know. Ian had just mentioned, the schools and things like that they have a hard time building. And I had brought up the point of the California lottery. I don't want to try and bash them too bad, but that industry has been around for decades, and their whole premise from the beginning was they promised to put a third of all lottery winnings, or not winnings, the everything put
Profit
in to the school systems. And it's just the irony in the fact that more prison systems get built. Our law infrastructure, as far as the police divisions, I know a couple of guys who are in service for law, and one guy I know specifically brags a lot about the amount of overtime that's available. It's endless amounts of overtime that he can pick up. Now, that he can do double shifts if he wants to. And I thought that's kind of interesting, because why not? If that's the case, that seems like that's a lot of spending money, double overtime. Why don't you hire new recruits and have new guys come in and you get 2 for 1? But everybody's able to carry an overtime. It's just it's weird. The oversight that's there's somewhere inside the system that we aren't able to look in with a crystal glass.
And
so
I don't want
to say it's locked out, but it's something like now, like the conversation we're having. People are going to have to realize, well, wait a minute. That's again. Let's just take the lottery for example. It's a $7 million a week $7 million a week that their system runs off of accrued monies. They go up in value every week, and then someone, I don't know who, someone wins it, and then it goes back down, starts at 7 again. And every week that someone doesn't win, it goes up another $7 million. So that $7 million, funny how the number stays at 7. I mean, where's the transparency on even that system where the money is, how much money is coming in? It's a great case study for someone to, eventually take on if they wanted to look into the lotto system, the school system, and then, judicial system, how they tie together. And there's things that are left high and dry, and there's low-hanging fruit that gets picked and plucked by, divisions of public works that maybe they should share a little bit more is where I'm at.
So I get the advantage of seeing Nigel. I can tell when he wants to say something, and then every once in a while
he's frothing at.
Every once in a while he goes
chomping at the
kid,
bit.
and I see a hand raise. It's like somebody see me. I'm here. I got something to say. Go ahead, Nigel. Then we'll go to you, Ted.
I think that
wait, Ted's hand is up.
What you're saying, Danny, is so true about looking into the connective tissue of different things, because then we can see it for the fullness of what it is. Sure, something could be doing good, but what else is it doing? And the transparency is seeing everything it's doing, everyone who's profiting, everyone is involved, how they voted, all of it. Because then we could truly assess the net value of what it is. Because to give a specific example, how can we be espousing the virtues of needing more prisons if we're actively promoting being better humans? That would mean we're failing miserably. And it's not some polarizing issue, it's we're just failing. So what do we do? Building more prisons, to me, is not the answer. We have so many intelligent, $500,000 educated people, and the best that they could come up with, working in corporate, singing for their supper every day, is, oh yeah, build more jails.
I think that's their best, easiest. That's their easiest, best. So
you can't point the finger at them, though. I mean, we all have to own this as a society. Like we have, in Santa Cruzians, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Californians, we have chosen to vote for people. It has been, tough on crime rhetoric has performed very well at the election box. And we have all built this system. And I think we can do far better. And, the California lottery, that's a whole nother subject. The lottery is a tax on the poor. The lottery is a very, very bad way to invest money. And the people who invest in it,
it's a way for the poor to hope and dream. And, you have a dollar.
Extract more money out of
that.
Hope and dream falsely.
Someone does win. I mean, they have it.
Well, the thing is, they say openly the profits that we make. That's literally saying that they make profits.
Somebody wins. Yes, you're more likely to be hit by lightning multiple times.
Yeah, that's what they said. Like you'd be more.
So you're very, very unlikely to win the lottery. It's a lie that they're selling people. People put their money. The government takes it. Some people, they reward some person, and they sell this fantasy to make it seem so you feel it's far more likely than it is.
And then
that they're extracting money from the poor.
Okay, so here's what I want to do for the last.
Against the lottery.
Hold on. Here's what I want to do for the last minute and a half, because we're about ready to end the show for today, and I'm glad we got on this topic. But
we had some spice going on here today.
I want to do this. This is our future segment. So I want everyone to throw out some headlines that you'd love to see in the news and media in the next a generation or two from now. So I'll give you some examples. I'd love for you guys to throw a couple headlines before we wrap it up. The lottery closes because nobody wants to gamble anymore. The lottery is shut down in California because schools no longer need the money. Prisons are turning into workout facilities because incarceration has plummeted. The streets are being cleaned up by the citizens, and everyone's taken ownership. So these are the types of stories I want to see the news and media say. We only get there if we become better humans, if we get to more of an anti-dystopic world. So do you guys have any headlines you'd love to read? For the last minute.
I would love to read that. Well, these are series going out. I want to see a headline that San Francisco becomes the first city in the U.S.
to offer universal access to legal aid for civil law for the poor. I want to see California becomes the first state to offer universal access to legal aid for the poor and saves billions of dollars in the process. And I want to see the headline: America saved billions of dollars because we offered legal aid to the poor.
And I want to see Ted Haas makes a comeback and is the first man in his 50s to make it in the NBA. I want your pro league to come back. Nigel, last word before we wrap up.
Breaking news. All government officials are now mandated to sell their best and worst behavior at work to their children.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow.